Full Service Radio is proudly supported and hosted by Simplecast, the easiest way for a podcast creator to publish and distribute audio on the internet. For more information, visit simplecast.com.
Recorded live from the lobby of the Line Hotel in Adams Morgan, Washington, D.C.
Peace, everyone, and welcome to the Edible Activist Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa L. Jones, broadcasting live from the lobby of the Line, D.C. This podcast is where dynamic people of color in the food and agricultural space share their personal food journeys, passions, and perspectives that stem from the land, all exemplifying the spirit of activism in their own edible way. Let's get started. Peace, everyone, and welcome to the Edible Activist Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa L. Jones, broadcasting live from the lobby of the Line, D.C. here on Full Service Radio. So for today's show, Reflections of the Land. You heard that right. Pardon me, guys. So as the host of this show and having curated over 50 episodes to date, with the help of some amazing guest co-hosts, I really don't get to share my reflections too much. I'm always reflecting after each episode and always reflecting whenever I leave a conference or I'm just in dialogue with someone, but I don't really get to share all of that. So we're going to do that today, and we're going to take some time to just share my thoughts, actually our thoughts, because I'm joined here with my guest co-host, who is no stranger to the studio, Jeremy Carey.
What's happening? What's happening?
AKA Jay. AKA Veggie Promo.
Correct. What's happening? Always a pleasure.
So Jay and I have literally been shoulder to shoulder the last few weeks at a couple conferences around agriculture, farming, and food here in DC and New York City. And we pulled a lot from those experiences.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
We shared a lot sitting right next to each other. Yeah. A lot of truth telling, a lot of, a lot of, deep thought.
Yeah, for sure. Most definitely.
And, Jay, I definitely consider you a man of thought.
I appreciate it.
You really are. And you always have some really great perspectives.
Respect.
And so today we're just going to share our reflections. And land has been I don't even want to call it a hot topic, but it has been a significant topic with the Edible Activist Podcast and in the conferences that we attended most recently. Articles that we've been reading about land ownership, stuff that's happening right in our backyard. And the deeper I get into my work, all of this is so very personal. And so today, these are my personal thoughts.
Yeah, for sure.
Today, these are Jeremy's personal thoughts.
Yeah.
And you can fight us if you want, but there are thoughts and our perspectives, and that's just that.
Yeah, for sure. I keep that thing on me. It's probably like a machete for the garden, but yeah, we got it though.
Right. The Farming Ninja.
Yeah,
Y'all need to go peep that episode out. Farming Ninja. So, what is land to me? All right. I would ask you that question, Jeremy. I'm going to ask you next, but it's me first. It's
yeah,
my
for
show.
sure. Hell yeah.
My show. And, the last conference that we attended, which was BUGS, the Black Urban Farmer and Growing Conference, or if I'm bashing that up, I will get the name right in just a moment.
Correct.
Which was dynamic. And the word ecology came up, and ecology and the definition of home and where you've been called to. And when we talk about land and we talk about land ownership, to me, it is home. Where is my heart? Where are my roots? And I joke because a lot of people, we're famous for asking people like, where are you from? It's normal,
right. Yeah,
it's just this is what we do. You have to.
Yeah.
You're like, where are you from? Where were you raised? Where'd you grow up?
Right.
And I always say, this is my spill. I grew up in Maryland. I am from Mississippi.
Correct.
I was not raised in Mississippi. My birth certificate says Jackson, Mississippi. But Mississippi is home to me.
Yeah, I feel you.
And it's home because those are my roots. And I've known and have seen Mississippi every single year of my life. You know, I've spent summers there. Maybe it was just 1 or 2, but still, like, I remember that. And I talk to my family every single day.
Right.
And it just really is a deep connection. Y'all know my mom is from Alabama, so those are roots as well. But we didn't grow up going to Alabama. I've probably been to Butler, which is a very small town, maybe once or twice. But my mom is from Alabama. My dad is actually from Mount Olive, Mississippi, which is an extremely small town in Mississippi. But then he moved to Jackson, where my sister and I were born. That is home to me.
Yeah.
And so lately I've been thinking about land and ownership. And, you know, I think I told you before, like, I want land. I want to buy land.
For sure.
But I want to buy land where I feel like home is and where I feel grounded. And I always think back to Mississippi. So a lot of people don't know that actually my great-grandfather was a sharecropper in Mount Olive, Mississippi.
Yeah.
And actually, I sometimes carry their photos, my great-grandfather, my great-grandmother. And another way for me to remain connected to home and to my roots is, you know, not even most recently, but I always say Melissa L. Jones for a reason. My middle name is actually Lavinia, and that was my great-grandmother's name.
That's dope. Yeah.
Growing up, I never used to say Lavinia because I was ashamed. I was like, what does that mean? What?
Right.
People used to always ask me, like, is that Romanian? Like, I just did not know. And then once I came to this place of, you know, just really wanting to identify who I am and really wanting to deepen my connection to home, I said I have to, in a way, to honor my roots and my great-grandmother, Melissa Lavinia Jones, every single time. So, yes, there are a ton of Melissa Joneses out here, and it's a way to, you know, and I am different. Let's just say I do stand out, but it's a way for me to honor my great-grandmother, and it's a way for me to still connect back to my roots. And so when I think of just land, I think of where I'm grounded. I think of where my roots come from, and I think of home. When I think of, like, being called back to the land, I think of Mississippi, and that's just my personal story. And people will laugh sometimes and be like, oh, like, you weren't raised in Mississippi. That's home for me.
I feel you. Yeah,
like,
for sure.
you will never understand why that feels like home to me. Like, you will never understand it, but that is home to me. So I could get so much deeper, but, like, just on a very, like, basic level, when we talk about land, I always think about the South. And that's because I have a connection to the South.
That's correct. Yeah,
so,
for sure.
I want you to take your turn,
I mean,
Jay.
yeah, for me, I mean,
as a farmer, because Jay is a farmer.
Yeah, for me, it's very similar, and I can, and one thing that I can attest to, and I'm sure that it's going to hold true. The more or the longer that I'm on this walk of stewardship, and the more I'm surrounded by other individuals that cultivate land and are, you know, just around the space, it really does resonate in me. Like, wow, like, you know, it kind of goes back to that thing, like, home is where the heart is.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? Similar to like what you're speaking to. And, you know, for me, you know, it's you know, like I was saying, it's more of something that kind of is drumming up and more and resonating more in me.
Yeah.
Like, wow, like, you know what I'm saying? You know, us being you know, people that are from the Washington D.C. area, for us, you already know what it is. Like, people that are from Maryland, like, no, don't say you from D.C. I mean, I've noticed more along the lines over the last like year or two. That you know, I tell people, I'm asking people, like, yo, where you from? And they're like, oh, I'm from Maryland. Like, okay, yeah, you from here. You know what I'm saying? So it's more of a thing where we came up, you know, in the era where it was like, oh, if you're not from D.C., don't claim it, or, you know, what have you.
Right.
But we're coming to a space now where oftentimes I feel like, and I say it to people all the time, like, I understand how the Native Americans felt. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are slowly declining in the population, and our numbers are becoming so low and so less now that it's like, man, look, if you from Silver Spring, man, you from here. You from Hyattsville, you from here. You from Fort Washington, you from here. You know what I'm saying? Like, forget all of that. Like, we really need to get away from the separatist kind of thing, like, oh, well, you know, you're not from my block, so you're not from here. Like, but to kind of, you know, circle back to speaking to the land, this is the land, this area, this city. I mean, this whole entire country is something that us, as people of color, we cultivated this land. We built up a lot of this land. I mean, and especially in the South, you know what I'm saying? So for you, I can completely understand why, you know, that is, it becomes more prideful for you, and, you know, it's really becoming a thing that you like, nah, man, like, this is where I feel at home. You know what I'm saying? So, but, you know, with the South, I mean, it's, excuse me, the South represents 54%. I either read something or heard something. 54% of African Americans that are in the country are in the South. So, you know what I mean? So I can completely understand that when you're saying that. But as far as me, like, the more and more I cultivate land, like, and people are looking at me like I'm crazy, like, I put my hands in dirt in different places, you know what I'm saying? But it's a certain type of feeling when you're doing it in an area that you're native to, an area that you are, you know what I mean, you grew up in or you have roots in. So, like, by doing so, a lot of times people are like, oh, man, here go promo on this Back to Africa shit. Like, you know, it's like, I mean, you can feel that. Like, you can feel the energy.
It is Back to Africa. How about that?
Hello. Yeah. So, like, you know, you can feel that energy. You can feel the ancestors resonating in you when you do that and stuff like that. So oftentimes we may be from somewhere we have no connection to it all, but we have that feeling. And, you know, with that, it's energies and, you know, ancestors working and things like that. So that kind of brings it up in you, like, man, damn, man, you know
would you associate, so would you agree that land and identity go hand in hand?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Like, I mean, and yeah, I don't want to start it off like kind of going all the way in, but
you can go all the way in.
Yeah, you already know it's me, so I'm gonna have to. But I mean, the reason why, you know, over the years that, you know, things have transpired and, you know, black people have been here in the country and, you know, people of color have been here in the country. The reason why the land is so important is because you can do whatever you need to, whatever you want to, whatever your community decides to with land. You know what I'm saying? And you look at like a lot of the stuff that's going on in the city now and in the areas around the city, people are getting taxed out of the area because they're literally taxing people. I mean, the house is paid for and everything like that. Grandma done had the house for 50, 60 years. Auntie done had the house for 20, 30 years. But we're getting taxed out. And the reason why is because they understand the importance of the land. You know what I'm saying? Whereas us, we rather just claim the block or the building or the street or the, you know what I'm saying? It's deeper than the stuff that they've kind of brought us up to like claim. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, most definitely. Like, I saw a meme the other day, and it was crazy because it was the Wednesday Addams. She had the Native American Joan on, and it was talking about like me running around to all my friends like trying to get a piece of land. You know what I'm saying? Like us coming together and things like that. And it's something that I think is definitely attainable. I feel like a lot of the times, you know, we're more like keeping up with the Joneses. No,
hello.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Not
this Jones.
Yeah, not the one to my left. Hello. But for us, it's more of the materialistic things and things like that because we are so removed from the land. So we don't really understand the importance of land ownership or stewardship or cultivating the land or, you know, things like that. So I feel like the more and more we have the opportunity to get on these soapboxes and, you know, go to these conferences and, you know, podcasts and, you know, writing and different things like that, it affords us the opportunity to really be able to get the message out there. Like, this is real, it's coming. And, you know, we really need to put our foot down and put a stake in the ground. Like, nah, this is us right here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Now, I guess, so, and the reason why I bring up identity is because I feel like, first of all, I think identity is one of the issues in this world that contributes to mental health in so many ways, because we don't know who we are.
That's correct.
Individually, and we haven't been called back to that place, to home. And I mean, I don't know everything, Jeremy, but I just feel like agriculture is that space in that place where you can absolutely learn who you are as a person and meet yourself in the mirror and say, oh my goodness,
Yep.
like, and connect back with yourself. I don't know that I've been in any other capacity where that has happened.
And I mean, not to, you know, take away from your thought. That's why we see big tech getting into the agriculture space. That's why we see you know, a lot of tech coming into the space, because it's more of the times and the era that we're in. You know what I mean? It's people even further removing themselves from their processes. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, well, you know, I've been seeing on social media, they have this thing. I don't even know what it's called, but it's basically like a robot that farms for you. You set it up, and it's
Really? I haven't seen that.
yeah, like
Oh
it's
my
crazy. And like I said, I haven't even looked into it or anything like that.
And
I mean,
here's
it's
the
nonsense
thing.
to me.
I have an appreciation for technology.
I mean, we have to.
We have to. We just really don't have a choice. For those who say that we do have a choice, when it comes to tech, I kind of disagree.
Oh, no, yeah,
You have a choice
yeah.
of whether or not you want to use it or not, maybe.
That's
But I have
correct.
an appreciation for technology.
Most definitely.
But wow, I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, no, that joint's crazy. Before we get out of, after we get out of, I'll show you that joint. But
Oh, my goodness.
yeah, no, I mean, and that's what I mean. Like, that's the part that's kind of scary. It's almost like on some Terminator type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we're opening up our survival to machinery, to technology, to I can be in California, and if I'm growing microgreens in my house in Hyattsville, I can just log in, look at the camera, make sure everything is good, make sure everything is watered, and I can still do my thing. So for me, being a person that cultivates and grows and things like that, it definitely does afford you the ability to be able to, you know, still run and still do your thing and stuff like that. It's the convenience over actually taking yourself outside of your process. So getting away from that energy exchange that you have with your plants and things like that. And a lot of people, they don't understand it until they get into it. You know, you look at you almost like, you know, like I say, oftentimes they're like, man, you crazy. Like, you weird. Like, no, I'm not at all. Like, if anything, like, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like, yeah, nah, like, I understand and I'm woke. Like, I hate to use that word, you know what I'm saying?
Nah, but you're right. You woke.
Yeah, but it's like, man, you don't understand, man. Like, you ambient out, bro. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, it's crazy.
This is Melissa L. Jones here with the Edible Activist Podcast and broadcasting live from the lobby of the Line DC here on Full Service Radio. I have my awesome guest co-host, Jay.
Hey.
Farmer Jay.
Hey.
Ninja Farmer Jay.
Hey, well,
Farmer
man,
Ninja Jay.
yeah, all of them, whatever.
AKA Veggie Promo Jay.
Yeah, all at me. I got that lettuce for you, fool.
And we're just reflecting. Well, we're sharing our reflections. As I stated before, if you guys joined us at the very beginning, we were shoulder to shoulder at two conferences within the last few weeks and have just been taking in a lot of information around food and farming and agriculture, and land has just been a very significant topic, and just really sharing our thoughts on what we feel like what land means to us.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
For me, it's the sense of home.
Most definitely.
And, you know, when I had Gail Taylor in the studio, who is the founder of 3 Part Harmony Farm in Northeast DC, shout out to 3 Part Harmony. They are amazing.
Yes, they are.
Get your CSA. All
All at
right. Wow. Well, you might be able to get it now. I don't know. But just go to their website.
Right.
Learn, get some more information. But I asked Gail, I said, Gail, what does land liberation mean to you? And I asked her that question because, as you know, I had an event here some months ago on land liberation,
correct.
and we had Dominic Hozak come in, who's awesome, and Gail was in attendance, so I just wanted her take. And you know, she definitely fed us. She definitely fed us. And one thing that she said, she imagines the land not being controlled by deeds and laws, and everyone being able to cultivate the land, everyone, you know, being in stewardship, and, you know, just being able to live off the land, and but not defined by the laws.
That's correct.
The bureaucracy.
That's correct.
Institutions that have been built years and years and years ago that are just stuck, like none of that in the real world.
That's
right.
That's right.
And so I've thought a lot. It just really makes me think about owning like, I understand, okay, owning a piece of land, right? Like you make a transaction, like boom, I don't know how they do it. I don't know if they do it off of, you get a loan, I don't know how that all works, but that's okay. You own the land, or you're paying to own the land,
That's correct.
essentially. Because
That's
for me,
correct.
you don't really own it until you didn't pay all
It's
your
a
money.
hustle. It's a hustle.
Exactly. So, but it just, and then I've heard other conversations about, we really, like, no one really should be owning the land, because we should just, land is just, it's land. We should be, we should be part of the land. It's
That's
not
right.
anything that should be owned. And just digesting this all, it just really, not that it's a struggle, but like, I understand like both sides, land ownership, but like, no, like, we really shouldn't be owning it. It should just be something that people don't have to own because it's land.
That's correct.
Like,
And for me, one thing that hit with me early in my whole process, in my whole walk, was like, at the end of the day, by us being people of color, it's at a disadvantage to us, because we are looking for justice on stolen land. You know what I'm saying?
Stolen.
It's stolen. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, if you're not a Native American, you know what I mean, or you know what I mean, don't speak to me about this is mine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, yeah, your great grandpappy roughed this joint. Like, come on, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And then used our people to get the land together and cultivate it and stuff like that. So don't talk to me about this is mine. You know what I mean? Like, that's weird to me. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not weird. I understand it.
Right.
I understand the corrupt, wickedness behind it. But at the same time, similar to like kind of what you're speaking to, at the end of the day, one thing that's always fueled me, and I was blessed enough to be able to be given this gem by one of the OGs, that at the end of the day, like, I'm on a walk of stewardship. Like, I'm a steward of the earth. And with that, it comes a lot of power. And oftentimes with power and money and things like that are, tangible, where people can see, or, or it's just a blank statement of understanding. Like, a lot of people allow that to corrupt them. You know what I mean? So like, land ownership is the kind of thing like, oh, okay, well, yeah, no, I'm this because I own this. Like, show me how you own this. Like, yeah, you own a house or whatever, but how are you cultivating that land? Like,
Right.
You have a house and you have what you're doing and stuff like that, but you're dropping grass seed on it, how are you enhancing the soil? How are you building? I mean, and like I said, this kind of goes more to like the nerdy scientific of understanding soil and soil health and how that, benefits us and
Right.
in a way of, providing
benefits
food.
the environment.
There you go. Yeah. So it's one and the same when you have a little bit better understanding versus people who just like, man, yeah, I'm about to buy a house, I'm about to buy some land, I'm about to do this. You know what I mean? It's more of a thing like, in the perfect world, it could be like that. You know what I mean? Where there's not necessarily an ownership thing. It's more of a like, all right, this is where I'm at with it.
Right.
That's where you at with it. Like,
But that's not the world we live in.
there you go. But man, God willing, man, one day it will be. You know what I mean? But oftentimes with that, it's stuff. It's good and bad. You know what I mean? You can have a system like that, and I don't want to delve too deep into it, but in a system like that where there's not really set laws or rules or things like that, it's going to be like that, and across the board. I can do whatever I want to do type, but at the same time, like, it's going to take a consciousness break for people to kind of like strip down a lot of the old or a lot of the this is set
Consciousness break. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, man, like, it's very important to understand, like, with land ownership, how you are using that land to benefit not just yourself but also people around you, instead of like putting up a big fence like, don't come over here, and
Because we're territorial.
There you go.
Ooh, we're territorial.
There you go. But at the same time, you want to keep that peace of mind and understand, like, all right, this is me in my home, but at the same time, like, use that land and that land ownership to benefit those around you, people that look like you, people that don't look like you, or what have you. But at the same time, you have to, you got to cultivate the land. You know what I mean?
Cultivate the land, y'all. On that note, we're going to take a quick break.
Uh-huh.
You're listening to Perfect Day, produced by Artists Authentic. For more of Authentic's work, visit allornothingstudios.com. All right, y'all. Peace. Welcome back. This is Melissa L. Jones here with the Edible Activist Podcast, broadcasting live from the lobby of the Line DC here on Full Service Radio, joined by my guest co-host for today, Jay.
Hey, what's
Jerry.
happening? What's happening?
I know your name is Jeremy.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever you call me, as long as you call me, that's
If we
fine.
see him on the street, it's veggie promo.
Hello.
Okay.
Just make sure you come with peace and blessings.
Come
That's
with
all.
peace and blessings, please.
Call me, but yeah, say what's up and yeah.
Good vibes only.
Yeah, let's fellowship.
Jay, thank you for being in the studio with me today.
You already know.
I couldn't talk by myself. I can't do that. I got to be in here with people, okay? But I wanted to, if you're just joining, at the very beginning of the show, I, just talked about the fact that we really don't get to share reflections. Like I'm in the studio every single week just about talking to some really amazing people doing great things, and I am soaking in their words. Like, we have brilliance that comes through the studio, man. Like, it's ridiculous. And sometimes I just don't have time I don't make the time. Let's say I don't have time, because we have time. I don't make enough time to just reflect. So the last couple weeks, Jeremy and myself have literally been shoulder to shoulder at like 2 conferences around food and agriculture, and just have been soaking in just wonderful words, wisdom, truth, of all things. For real. Truth, big okay? Time. And we've had some time to reflect and just wanted to share our thoughts only. So we've just been here just vibing out. And so we started the show just talking about like land and what it meant to me personally and what it means to Jay, and talking about territories and identity, and it's a lot. There's so much that can be said around land, and I'm choosing the word land because it's not even really choosing. It's just been coming up. It's just, it's so significant to what's happening in our world today. And again, us as Black folks, we're affected by all the systems, and land ownership is a very big one because we are being booted from our territory. So this idea of ownership and being stewards of the land and cultivating the space that you're in. And it's personal. It really, it's personal. It's personal. So I just wanted to share my thoughts. So, what I do want to get into, and touch on is that Jeremy and I attended the Black and Urban Farmers Gardeners Conference, aka BUGS, in New York City a couple weekends ago. And I have to admit, I have never, not that I can remember, but I don't think I've ever been in a space filled with Black folks and talking about food and art. Like, I have not.
Me either.
And that was one of the reasons why I started my platform, because I was going to stuff here and I was just like, oh, I'm the only Black person in the room. What the heck? And so I'm just going to set the scene for y'all, because we were in an auditorium full of Black excellence.
That's correct.
I mean, I walked in intimidated, okay?
Yeah.
That's why I don't know everything. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to be a fly on the wall, soaking these conversations. But so we had academia, scholars, authors. There was a rocket scientist in there who actually happens to be a pit master, writers,
faith-based people, everything.
Elders, filmmakers, artists, farmers, landowners, chefs from the Gullah Geechee.
Yes.
Oh my God, folks from Mississippi. I met 2 farmers in Mississippi that Baba Malik introduced me to.
Yes.
Baba Malik from Detroit was there,
indeed.
D-Town. We had Philly in the house, California in the house.
Portland.
Oh my goodness. Portland, Wisconsin.
Yeah, a bunch of people. Minnesota. It was a rack of people.
It was at Baltimore.
Yeah.
We were up in there.
Yeah, we were. We were
up in there, and the opening was just dynamic, okay? Because we had Ashante Reese, who's the author of Black Food Geographics, which these are books that I'm shouting out that you guys need to get. If you really want to learn about race, food, identity, white, Black, whatever, like, you really need to get these books. So
no cut cards.
No cut cards. I'm telling you, these are truth tellers. So Ashante Reese, author of the Black Food Geographics, a book I still need to read. It's on my list, Race, Food, Access, and Self-Reliance. We had Dr. Monica White, who is the author of Freedom Farmers, a book that I'm currently reading right now, and she's sweet as pie. I love her. We had Leah Penniman, y'all.
Shout out to her.
Shout out to sis, man.
Hey.
Soul Fire Farm, author of Farming While Black, truth teller, man.
Like
Truth
they say,
teller.
goals, right?
Seriously. And then we had Baba Rashid Nouri, who I've never met before, but I made it a point to speak with him, who is the CEO and president of Truly Living Well in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were the opening keynoters, and I just pulled so much from them. And I'm just going to pick out a couple things that was said that I thought was everything that was said was significant, but things that stood out to me, Ashanti talked a lot about the language of the land and extraction. And I'm telling y'all, it goes deeper than the everyday conversations that we have here at the studio. There's like some real, they just breaking down the actual systems that affect Black and brown people when it comes to food, when it comes to even the criminal justice system. Mm-hmm. Like, there is language that our brilliant Black folks are breaking down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, can you say that again?
Yeah,
Can you say that again?
Yeah.
Can you please say that again? I was just even inspired by Dr. White's story she's from Detroit. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember exactly where she was at this time, but she was in a place where she couldn't freaking find sparkling water.
That's correct.
She would go to the hood stores, the corner store. She was like, there's no sparkling water over there, but I'm on the other side of town and you got sparkling, just that.
Right. Yeah, no,
She's a professor. And I mean, just brilliance. Please, Freedom Farmer. She's the author of that. Leah Penniman. I mean, what do we say?
What can we say? You know what I mean?
What she did say, though, in her words, in the work that she does, this is an assignment from the earth and her ancestors. Mm-hmm. The work that she's doing now. She said, whatever assignments that our ancestor gives us, they will give us the strength to do. Mm-hmm. Every day, Jeremy, I'm like, God, give me the strength to do my work.
Yes.
Because it's a lot. Give me the strength. I know that I was called to do this, but give me the strength to do this work. And then Baba Rashid Nouri, he told folks, he said, learn everything about food from the seed to the table. Mm-hmm. Straight up.
Yep.
Straight up. And so I just thought it was a really great way to start out the conference with the four of them. And back to what I think this is very relevant, something that Ashanti said, which I think is Dr. Reese, actually. I believe she's a professor, so forgive me.
Right.
She says capitalism stills our imaginations.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact. I mean, and not to get you off where you at with it.
Go for it.
For me, it was very, very similar to the energy and just the spirit and everything that kind of got in me at that conference.
Yeah.
For me, actually,
because I walked in, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no, it was a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? It for me, it was very, very reaffirming because what I kept hearing and it really spoke to me the most was our work is very isolating. You know what I mean? Our work is very, very isolating. I mean, we are so focused in on, cultivating and maintaining and marketing. And I mean, people that are entrepreneurs, they have what they have going on and, creating product and things like that. But when you're actually starting from seed or, something like that, it's nurturing. It's almost, not to mince words. It's almost like, all right, I'm raising kids, thousands and thousands of kids, taking them through the process and, however long the process is, whether it's a week or 120 days, I'm taking them through that process through maturity. And then I still have to do the entrepreneurial stuff behind that. You know what I mean? So again, for us, it was very, very dope for me to network and get a lot of the contacts that I got because, everybody, speaks to the isolation in what we do. You know what I mean? We really focus in, it's a spiritual bond that we have with our, products and things like that. So oftentimes people don't really understand that, and it just looks like, oh yeah, you grow tomatoes, and it's easy to sell a tomato. You just sell it. Nah, man. You know what I mean? You
way more to it.
Yeah.
From the non-tomato grower.
Yeah, for sure. So, for me, just a lot of people speaking to the isolation, in the full gamut of what we do. It's amazing for me to hear, and it was very, very encouraging for me to hear a lot of challenges that myself, my brother Levan, a lot of the brothers and sisters here in the area that we kind of deal with in our walk, you know what I mean? But just to hear that that's not an isolated thing, that it's something that's going on with everybody that's doing this, and then still combating systematic things, and being of color, and I mean it again, like I said, we could be here for hours.
Leah said to get free, we need to be able to free ourselves.
That's correct. And with freedom comes like I said, getting back to the roots. You know what I mean? Like oftentimes people don't understand kind of my mentality or where I am with it. But I tell people all the time, like I feel like I feel like I got off the plantation and then I got the good word, and now I'm trying to come back and tell people like, yo, look, this is all we got to do. You know what I mean? And it almost, it makes you look like, or oftentimes people's perception is like, man, this nigga's crazy. Like, nah, dog, like, for real, like, what I mean?
You better get with me
it's
or
freedom.
Get left behind, right?
Yeah.
There's still some more freeing within Melly Mel that needs.
It's all of us. That's all of us. That's all of us.
And I know, I don't know if my mom's listening right now. She typically does.
Shout out, Mom.
Shout out, Mom. But I want to go to Mount Olive, Mississippi, and I want to touch the ground.
You have to. The next time you're down there, man.
That's when I feel like I would be a little bit more free. I want to go to Butler, Alabama, where my mother was born and raised. Okay, over to that small little church where they got all the graveyards to sit.
Right.
Like I want to, because Butler, I'm telling you, is the size of a pea. Like, I need to get grounded.
Oh yeah, for sure, sure.
Until I'm able to just ground myself on that land, I feel like that is more that's the process for me to getting free.
Yep.
Part of the process. But you would appreciate what Baba Rashid says. He said the future of farms is small farms and urban agriculture in the city. That's correct. And I totally believe that. But folks are saying the complete opposite. Because here's the thing. I feel like it's not even like I feel like, we have the vast majority of this world who looks at things from like this very macro view.
Correct. That's correct.
How are we going to feed billions of people? Well, it's like, hell, we got a town of like 75,000 in Ward 8, or maybe 80-something thousand in another town over. Like, no, how are we going to feed that community? It's going to be done through urban farming, in the city. That's straight correct. Up. That's correct. When disaster strikes, when shit hits the fan. When grocery stores shut down, but I got, Jay over here who's growing microgreens, and Van who's growing
right. Yeah, for sure. And like I said, that's where the freedom comes into play. Like,
yes.
And for me, again, like I said, it's almost like, yeah, man, I got the golden ticket, man. Y'all trying to go to the chocolate factory, like, what I mean? No pun, but you know what I mean?
The golden ticket.
Yeah, really. It's very, very interesting because those small farms and things like that equate to, like, say, for example, you got 1 yard. All right, cool. It's whatever, 50 by 50 space, or 20 by 20 space, or a window, or a kitchen rack in your house, or, what have you. You're building up a landmass by doing that. And the more and more people that those of us that are able to encourage people to get into it, then you really do see how easy it is, because a seed by nature's, it's
a seed.
There you go. Small. Like, it's gonna grow. Like, you don't have to. Well, you do. With certain types of things, but oftentimes by nature, the only thing you're doing is putting yourself into God's process or the universe's process. You know what I mean?
You're feeding it.
There you go.
You're feeding the seed.
There you go. That's it.
The same way we feed ourselves.
There you go. Same thing. It's
the same thing.
And the more and more people that we're able to actually encourage to do that. That's why, to be honest with you, like, as of late, it's been hitting home even more now for me, and especially with the sisters, you know what I mean? sisters love houseplants. You know what I mean? They love them. They love them. They love them. But I'm like, you know, I ask sisters all the time, like, you know, do you grow anything? I kill it all the time. And I'm like,
all the time. That used to be me. Don't give me no plant. I'm gonna kill it.
Yeah.
Not intentionally. And P.S. My mother says that she is listening.
That's
FYI.
hilarious. but people, but oftentimes people don't understand about like manifestation and like speaking into speaking into existence what's going on. So like if you continue to keep saying every time I get a plant I kill it, I mean you are absolutely right. Yeah.
And if we are about mind, body, and soul, and we talk about soul, which is your will, your emotions, and what you think, like if you keep saying you kill a plant, you won't kill the plant.
That's correct. You know what I mean? And I mean, for me, I got into it like I didn't say I always killed anything because I never grew anything, period. I mean, outside of like, you know, you in elementary school and you get the little milk carton and you drop the, you know, pea seed in it or whatever, you know, quick crop. And outside of that, I've never done anything like this, you know what I mean? But the more and more I've been into it, the more and more I research, the more and more I actually have skin in the game with the process. You pick up on stuff, you know what I mean? And you like, once I have the opportunity to kind of sit down and talk to people, a lot of that stuff that we learned in school and stuff, you like, oh, right. That was what they was.
Right. I swear it hits you. When you get, I'm 37, so I forget. Is that what happens when you get older? You forget your age.
That's correct.
Like, a lot of the quotes and just stuff from before that I would hear, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so resonating now. This is so resonating. But anyway, not to cut you off, because we just have a few more moments, but Bugs was awesome. I feel like we probably need to do a part 2 of this because I'm not even getting through half of what I even want to talk about. So we had those amazing keynoters, okay? Jeremy and myself, we also attended a session with a sister. Her name was Atieno from Detroit.
Correct.
And she showed us a documentary called Side Lots, which is amazing. I don't think if you Google it, you're not going to be able to find it because she's part of events. You got to pay to see this, as you should, support the sister. But she's out in Detroit, and I was just I actually knew about Side Lots because Atieno is someone who I actually interviewed when I was in Detroit last year. I met her before, went to her house. And at the end, when they were talking about how welcoming Detroit is, they are really like that. That is no lie, but just a really interesting documentary of a story of, actually I posted about this yesterday, really a story of like pain and separation and love and a connection back to the land. You know, there's a quirky land-based system in Detroit, right? And her and her partner were trying to acquire the lot across from them, and they couldn't. They had so many issues, and they were being turned around. Mind you, you got corporations, you got people coming into Detroit, buying up homes and land and all that other stuff. And it's just like, what the hell? But that was a really great session that we sat in on. And, you know, she said that she wanted to share stories that you typically wouldn't hear in the city. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in Detroit. But towards the end, the culinary panel with BJ Dennis from the Gullah Geechee, Gullah Geechee Island, the chef. He was amazing. I loved hearing him talk. Omar Tate of Honeysuckle, Therese Nelson, Nadine Nelson, and then Dr. Howard Conyers, who actually is he's the rocket scientist and the pitmaster from, I believe, North Carolina, one of the Carolinas.
Yeah, South Carolina, I think it was.
South Carolina. Oh my gosh. Like, I really enjoyed that conversation, that panel, because it really just showed the importance of chefs really making that connection to agriculture and pulling it into that conversations. And we don't do enough of that.
Nope.
We do not do enough of that. And it is really my belief that if we had enough Black restaurants, and I'm not putting the pressure on Black restaurants. This is just in a perfect
you're speaking
world.
of what it is.
But like, if we had Black restaurants really supporting Black agriculture,
it wouldn't be no problem.
I mean,
it's
you talk about a way to support one another.
It's so self-sustaining, and like I said, it's
so self-sustaining.
Yeah, I mean, it's outside of the norm of thinking, or you know what have you. But I mean, people don't realize like, the food has to get prepared. The food we grow has to get prepared. You know what I mean? And, you know, those of us that farm that may not cook or what have you, you know what I mean? That's not me. But, you know, there are people who, like I said, aren't versed in the culinary world. You know, they just grow the stuff. You know what I mean? So oftentimes that kind of gets lost in translation. And like I said, just that hustle of, look, I got product, I got to get rid of it. You know what I mean? And then the people who have restaurants, your business is food. You know what I mean? But when you're going to these big box retailers, you know what I mean, without even naming them and stuff like that, it's like, I already know. Like, when I go to certain events, I just can see the produce, and I can see, and I already know where you got it from.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I'm versed enough to know, like, all right, you know, like, I can dig it. Like, yeah, I mean,
you be knowing.
Yeah, it's much appreciated, you know, seasoned up and all. I mean, it's beautiful. It's great food and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, when you can kind of pull yourself back from that and then see, like, there are people that look like me that have been through a lot of the same things I have, or, you know, and oftentimes been through more than I've been through, you know, that can provide me a better product, you know, naturally grown, you know what I mean?
Right.
We're coming on a farming sense. We're coming into an age now where organic is kind of watered down. It's kind of, you know what I mean? It's a buzzword. You know what I mean? It's more about your processes. It's more about, like, no-till and, like, understanding, like, soil biology and, like, enhancing the land and how that improves your product. But, you know, like I said, getting back to, you know, what you were saying as far as, like, black restaurants supporting that, it's a self-sustaining thing, that stuff like that, or, you know, processes like that, where we can come together as growers and, you know, restaurateurs and things like that are of color, you know what I mean? And we can support each other by doing that. I mean, you could have a restaurant, you could be killing it, you know, making the news, just completely killing it, you know what I mean? But then you're not supporting the people that look like you, that grow this product, and now you're outsourcing your money, whereas opposed to being more of a self-sustained kind of thing where we're supporting each other. If you got a restaurant, and I tell this to people all the time, and it trips people out, you know, whether it be like catering businesses or juice companies or, you know, whatever, just small business people, I come to them with seed catalogs and I say, look, go through this and tell me what you want to grow. Tell me what you want to play with. You know what I mean? We get the seeds. The seeds aren't that expensive.
Tell me what you want to play with.
There you go. You know what I mean? And it trips people out, like, for real? Like, it's like, yeah, man, like, just tell me what you want to mess with, and then we can get it together.
You know what? First of all, we really do have to go. But you're so right. You're so right. And I know it's easier said than done, but then sometimes it isn't.
No, it's not. It's just doing. You just have to do
it. Yeah. So, and I know there's a lot of complexities to operating a restaurant and so I understand that the labor is crazy expensive, but to me, it's just so much worth it. But anyway, I'm not a restaurateur.
Yeah,
okay?
No shade to that.
No shade. I can't speak to everyone. But anywho, there was a lot more to the conference.
Yeah.
I mean, there were so many other great speakers. Again, Jay and I have just been really digesting a lot of information. And I consider you a man of thought, man of perspective. So I just appreciate having you in here.
Most definitely.
Definitely have to give credit to Reverend Dr. Heber Brown, who actually was the closing. And I'm mad because I had to get back to DC. I had to run out of there, but he is the founder of the Black Church Food Security Network, who I would love to have on this show. We've already been in talks.
Good stuff.
Amazing brother. I love what he's doing. But before I end, because I know I'm over time and Alexia's probably like clicking her watch over there. My show really is a reminder. My platform is a reminder of what I do and why I do. There's so many levels and layers to all of this, you know, this agriculture and food and justice and activism. But I always want to relay information that everyday people can pick up and understand. You don't wake up and say, oh, I want to connect to the land. You don't wake up and say, oh, I want to be a farmer. Their stories start out differently. Look at mine. My story started off because my mom, you know, had an allergic reaction to gluten. And then I just started learning about food. So it really is going to take ground level people like myself and you and others, you know, to have these everyday conversations, because we're not on 10 with some of these other amazing, brilliant, excellent. We're not. I'm not even up there. I'm not even striving to be up there right now.
Sure.
You know, I just want to have everyday conversations and have people understand it on a basic level, and then maybe hopefully we can call them back to the land.
Most
you know,
definitely,
maybe hopefully bring them into a space of, you know, really wanting to self-identify and really know who they are as a person, you know their lineage, understand their roots. So there's so much work that needs to be done. But anyway, we gotta go. Thank you, Playa.
All right, thank you, and not to like make us run over anymore. The one thing I want to leave people with is this. The one thing that I picked up on at the conference, and I've made sure that I've been, steadfast with doing it, research George Washington Carver.
Yes.
To be honest with y'all, I've been so enlightened with his walk and his story and all of that kind of stuff. And we just know him as the Peanut Man. You know what I mean?
He's more than a peanut man.
Like I said, man, hopefully we could come back and finish this conversation. But like I said, man, George Washington Carver is like my new hero.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Straight up. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
All right. Peace, y'all.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We are here live on Full Service Radio every Wednesday at 11 a.m., where you can catch today's episode on fullserviceradio.org, as well as iTunes and Spotify. Be sure to follow me at Food Talks in Color on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Are you an edible activist? Sure you are. Come join me on the show. I would love to feature you. Just shoot me a DM on the gram. Peace and blessings all. And remember, there is no culture without agriculture.
Thanks for listening to this program on Full Service Radio, broadcasting and recording from the Line Hotel in Adams Morgan, Washington, D.C. Full Service Radio programming can be accessed live and archived on fullserviceradio.org. Our talk programming is available on most podcast apps like iTunes and Stitcher, and our DJ sets are available on mixcloud.com/fullserviceradio. Full Service Radio features over 30 weekly shows and over 50 local hosts covering every topic imaginable. If you want to be a guest or get involved, email us at info@fullserviceradio.org. Follow us on Twitter at FullServiceRDO, on Instagram and Facebook at Full Service Radio. Thanks for listening.